From the combined crew of blindandroidusers.com and accessibleandroid.com, it's time for your favorite Android podcast. Kick back now and enjoy another fine episode from these fanboys and gals as they navigate Android from a blindness perspective. And now, here's your crew. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 262 of the Blind Android Users Podcast. We're recording today, December the 13th, 2025. I'm Warren here, coming from soggy Washington State, where some people are evacuated and all of that, but thank God my side of the state is nice, although we got lots of rivers flooding and all of that. We want to welcome you to episode 262, and I have my friends here with me. We've got
John Dyer from Virginia.
Karin Kiwan from Lebanon.
And Salih Kunduz from Turkey.
Welcome to episode 262. Coming up in this episode, we have announcements, and of course, I'm going to be badgering you guys about our 5th anniversary coming up next week. And for our spotlight, we got a double take here, as we are also going to be talking about the ScribeMe, which is the focus of this episode. And then we'll also be talking about the TalkBack release, that's a version 16.2, which is found on Pixel phones and any other Android, as well as that Android 16.2 for those that are running the One UI 8.5 if you have a Galaxy S25 series. And then to close today's episode, we have the notification organizer as the tip of the week, and that would conclude today's episode. Let's now talk about well-being check. John, let's start with you. Last month, though, you were the new bridegroom. In other words, it was an anniversary, and every anniversary, you become new again. How was your anniversary?
Yeah, that's one way of putting it. So I was out of town last weekend, so I wasn't on that episode. It was our 9-year wedding anniversary, so we just went. We didn't go too far, about an hour away for a couple of days, and then came back home. So it was nice, and my week's been good. It's finally cold here. We got our first snow earlier this week, so all is well.
Nice, and I hope you ate a lot of good food while you were out there, because when you're out vacationing, it's time to be lazy and just you could eat whatever food you want, including junk food. McDonald's, I'm looking at you.
Yeah, of course.
Karin girl, how about you?
I'm doing well. It's finally winter here. It didn't start officially, but it was a rainy week. Also, the weather is cold right now, which is great, and everything is going well here.
Sally, what's going on in Turkey? I know it was raining the other time. Is it still raining?
Yeah, especially last night, it was a really heavy rain over here. This city is really famous for the rain. It gets a lot of rain. Well, I don't like saying this every week that I'm here in this podcast, that this week has been super busy. Yeah, besides that, everything is okay. I was a little bit cold, but now I'm recovering. I'm glad to be here once again after my exams. All went well. And how are you doing?
We're doing well. As I mentioned earlier, my state is observing, especially the other side of the state, lots of rain and some evacuations. 100,000 people were being evacuated or something to that effect. We're, however, thankful that on this side of the state, we're not experiencing that. And of course, the rivers are swelling and all of that. But so far, we're doing well. And as I speak, the sun is peeking out there. So it's a good day. And we're thankful that nothing like that is happening on this side of the state. And now, the announcement segment. This is a segment dedicated to things we want you to be in the know. And now for this week's episode, here's your announcements. Let's move on to our announcements now. And for this week's announcements, guys, is about the last one for our upcoming 5th anniversary. And we're inviting you guys to come on and party with us. This marks our 5th anniversary coming up on December the 20th. As always, Sally's my man with the time zone. Sally, throw out some of those time zones for our people to know when to come on in.
All right, guys, it's gonna be 6 p.m. Like it's gonna be 6 p.m. in Central Europe, 5 p.m. in UK, 10:30 in India. So be sure that
And
being with
if
us,
you're in Egypt, it's like 7 p.m. and
yeah,
like where Karen is hiding at, right?
exactly, it's gonna be 7. And for those in probably China, it's gonna be like 1 a.m.
And I think if you're in South Africa, for example, maybe it's like 8 p.m. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Something to that effect. And if you happen to be like in West Africa or some other place, I think that's 6 p.m. as well.
If you're in South Africa, that's gonna be around 8.
Okay.
And if you're in Australia, it's around 2 a.m. Maybe 3 a.m. I don't know.
If you are in Hawaii, it's going to be like 7 a.m. In Alaska, it's 8 o'clock in the morning. Central time here in the U.S. would be 11, and Eastern time is 12 noon. And those are some of the time zones that we can think of. And we're looking forward to seeing you guys next week when we party and have a wonderful time of celebrating our 5th
Yeah, we got a
anniversary.
surprise for you guys that we will be playing the very first episode.
Exactly.
You say this every time, and we never do.
Well, we'll at least give the intro in there, right? So maybe
We'll see. We'll see.
We'll see what happens.
Promises.
It gives me cracks.
Promises. I know Sally wants to drop it in because it was a terrible episode, but constantly
I love
reminding me of where we came from. So, but yeah, we can do without looking back at history. Welcome to the Spotlight segment. This is a segment dedicated to interviews with developers or interesting happenings in the world of Android. And now for this week's episode, here's your Spotlight. We now turn on to the Spotlight segment, and today, of course, we're focusing on ScribeMe, and we have the developer Mark Morad to talk about ScribeMe. Mark, welcome to Blind Android Users Podcast. We've been kind of courting you now for the past several weeks, and I'm glad you're finally here to talk about ScribeMe. Let's ask you though, how are you doing in Egypt? What's the weather like? Are you having fun? What's going on? Let's start with well-being check first.
First of all, thank you for having me. It's been great in Egypt, actually. The weather is just getting a little bit cold because it's been hot like for the past 10 months or so. So yeah, everything is good.
Where in Egypt are you joining us from? I know I've been to Cairo, but that's about it. Are you from like the Cairo area, Alexandria, or some
I'm
other
from Cairo.
part? Oh,
It's
from
Cairo.
Cairo.
Yeah.
Great.
Have
Welcome.
you been to the pyramids?
Of course, I did, and rode a camel for the first time, even with my little kids, 4-year-old
Yeah.
kid on the camel. It was,
Yeah.
frightening. And a 4-year-old and a 8-year-old on the camel together. My 2 daughters, I was scared, but yeah, they made it. So we were so happy to be there. People were very
Yeah.
nice to us.
Yeah, it's so fun.
Yeah, it was fun. Let's talk about ScribeMe. What a name you got. And usually it kind of baffles me as to how you guys come up with all these names or titles for apps. And I'm kind of thinking of Scribe, and I'm thinking of the Scribe back in the olden days, people that are whose job it was to write things referred to as the Scribe. And so it's the most appropriate title for your app being dubbed as Describe Me. Let's talk about the history. What actually led you to developing Describe Me app? Were you dissatisfied with some of the solutions out there, and thus you decided to take on the job of creating something different that you believe could bring a little bit more of some functionality to the crowded class or crowded group?
Yeah. So let me first tell you a short story, more about like my personal life, and then everything will make sense. So I was actually born fully sighted. I had no vision problems until I reached sixth grade, and that's when I started to notice that my vision was getting weaker every day. At first, I thought it was something normal, like I was gonna wear glasses and everything was gonna be fine. It turns out that um, it was a much bigger problem. No one actually knew what was going on. I was losing vision every day. Um, and then, like after having many doctor appointments, I knew that I one day was gonna be blind, but I didn't know when. And the doctors also didn't know when I was gonna be totally blind. And then in 10th grade, that's when I lost my vision completely. Uh, I could see nothing, and I also wanted to major in computer science or engineering. Uh, and because of that, I had to take like many courses: physics, chemistry, biology, and of course, every all these courses had like visuals. They consisted of graphs, charts, and everything in between. Um, and someone had to explain to me like what was in these images. Someone had to explain to me like the concept of these sessions because I couldn't see in class. And this is something that really annoyed me because I always like to be independent ever since I was young. I didn't like anyone to help me. Um, so then I contacted like some developers, big assistive technology developers, uh, to try to fix the problem of reading PDFs that had images inside, whether they had like graphs, charts, or even any graphic, any kind of graphic. But actually, no one responded with the solution. So then I said to myself, okay, like I'm gonna try to create a prototype of this app, which is now ScribeMe. And it took me like a year working on the app every single day until I had released the very first version on the Microsoft Store, which was actually on the laptop. It wasn't even on mobile yet. And then once I released the app, it started to gain like traction. Users from students from many schools started to use the app to study independently, and that's how I got started with ScribeMe. How I got the name is actually interesting. I'm actually now I'm 19 years old, so like I was sitting with my family, and then like my mom came up with the name. You should call it ScribeMe, and basically I named it ScribeMe because what the app does is like it can take PowerPoints and PDFs, it can scan it, and it's the only app, by the way, that could scan PowerPoints. And it could also describe the images inside the file. So like it did both. It was like transcribing the text and also describing the images. So that's how I got the name ScribeMe.
So in reality, we got your mom to be thankful for, because I'm thinking of the title "Scribe Me," and when I hear the word "scribe," it kind of places me somewhere in the Middle East,
Yeah,
where some scribe is using, or some scribe has several parchments and stuff like that, and is writing and busy,
yeah,
all that's the imagery that comes to my mind. And here we are, because it's like the ability to be able to read, and to see that this is something that you thought about and wanted to do, and most especially from your background and all that you went through as a kid, and that did not hold you down, because it's not easy for someone to become blind and then to try to do something like what you've done. It's just
Yeah.
phenomenal, and I'm glad that it didn't let that get to you and holding you down. And now here we got ScribeMe. So let's talk
Yeah.
about difficulties. How difficult was it for you? I know that you said you got it started on the PC and then you moved on to the mobile. I know
Yeah.
that I was earlier on with you, in touch with you, and certain things were kind of like in Arabic, and you fixed those things. What were some of the challenges that you had in making it available on the mobile? And was it hard to do, or was it just like any other normal stuff?
It was really hard at the beginning because I didn't even know how to program. Like I was teaching myself programming as I was developing ScribeMe. Like I faced many accessibility issues. Like when you're like programming, most of like the software you use isn't accessible. So I spent many months before that looking for an accessible software to use so I can write the code in. Also, like there are some accessibility issues like the screen readers, and not everything is compatible. Also, another big thing is like the UI of the app, the graphical user interface. Uh, like you need someone cited to tell you like that the UI is good, everything is in place, nothing is to the side, the button looks good, this text looks good, all this stuff. And then like this was like the PC when I was programming on the PC. On mobile, it was a little bit harder because the you actually have to comply with the Apple and Google policies, privacy policies, and all this kind of stuff. So it took us a really, really long time to publish on mobile. And like my goal was to publish on mobile, like on Google Play and App Store at the same time, because I don't wanna be biased towards one over another. Uh, and I actually thought like the first version was gonna be on Google Play first. However, we faced some issues, so we ended up publishing it on the App Store first, and then a month later we published on the Google Play. And currently we have also the same version on both stores. So like we don't want to leave anyone behind, because I know like many developers, they focus on App Store first, or vice versa. Like when we do an update, we have it on both at the same time.
Well, I can tell you that you wouldn't have any grief from me if you have it on Android first, but I think it's a nice idea to have it on both platforms, for example, because as you indicated, too many times a lot of developers would tell you it's so hard to make something for Android and all of that. And so Android usually winds up waiting and waiting and then coming
Yeah.
on later on if the developer ever decides to do so. But to see that you actually have the priority to make sure that both platforms are supported, that is a huge plus and worthy of the mention. So therefore, thank you so much for looking out for both platforms.
Yeah, of course.
So I have a comment for you and a question for you.
Okay.
First, I wanted to just say thank you for sharing your story. I know a lot of us can relate to the type of frustrations that you were going through. And, myself, I have a similar story. I have retinitis pigmentosa, but it doesn't sound like I was affected nearly as much by it as you were. I was legally blind before I went to college, but I was not completely blind.
Mm-hmm.
But I was to the point where I couldn't see the board. I'm so old. We had actual textbooks back then that we had to page through, and I couldn't see the diagrams in the books. I had to put like a lamp right next to me that was like making me sweat all over the book, like just to see anything. So it was and my degree was mechanical engineering. So it was like, I wish we had something like this back then. So I'm grateful to you for putting forth
Okay.
the effort to create a tool like this that can help so many people. And then my question
Yeah.
is, and you have to be completely honest, do you
Okay.
use an iPhone or an Android phone as your daily
Okay,
driver?
so I'm gonna tell you something. For my whole life, I've been using Android. Uh, and when I was low vision, I was also using Android because like magnifiers are so much better on Android. But then I don't know why like when I started to use a screen reader, everything was slow, and I didn't know how to customize like the TalkBack and stuff. So I just had an iPhone. Currently, if you're gonna ask me now, like, would you rather have an iPhone or Android? I think Android is beating iPhone in accessibility with a lot of things. Like, it has really improved in the last 2 years. Like, the
Okay,
only reason
thank
I
you
have
for
an
saying
iPhone
that.
now, yeah, the only reason I have an iPhone now is just because like I bought it like 3 years ago. But most likely,
Yeah,
if I'm gonna switch, I'm gonna choose Android.
nice.
Like, it
Yeah,
has had a lot of customizability.
yeah, the Gemini stuff built into TalkBack, the image descriptions and screen descriptions and follow-up questions for both. That's been a game changer, I think.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
I have two questions
Okay.
and an issue that I'm facing with the app. Uh,
Okay.
do you want me to start with the questions or with the issue?
Let's start with the questions and then the issue.
Okay. So your app is the only app that has the ability to identify to notify the user when there is a certain change, like when it sees something that the user asks about. My question is, what is the method that you are using? Is the app just sending like screenshots of the view, like regularly to the servers to be analyzed, and then it's able to give the user what he asks for? Or is there any other technique? Because Gemini doesn't have this feature, although Gemini like pretends that it has it. It doesn't have it at all.
Yeah. You were talking
ChatGPT as
about
well.
live assist, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
This is my first question, and the other question is related to the subscription.
Okay.
I know that the app is mainly focused on the OCR stuff and on the AI analysis of the PDFs and giving the best results.
Yeah.
This is like it's obvious and it's clear because of the background that you already talked about. However, if I subscribe, what do I get in addition to the more file size and the better maybe better scanning? So what's actually given to the user when the user subscribes, more than the things that you already mentioned in the app itself?
Okay. So for your first question, live assist, I haven't talked about live assist. It's basically a real-time video that could describe to you like your surroundings live as they happen. Uh, like it's still new. It's been 2 months since we published live assist. Uh, Yeah, it's taking small video clips and sending it to our servers for processing, and it does and that's why you'll find it's giving you constant updates about your surroundings. Like if you move your phone slowly around, when you have it on, it's gonna tell you, for example, I see three people standing in front of you. If you turn right a little bit, it's gonna update. So yeah, we wanna make it so like it's full real time video, like. We want to have it with you 24/7, describing to everything live. And we want to make it smarter so that it knows when to speak and it knows when to not speak. So, for example, yes, you could ask it a question like, tell me when you see people in front of me. But it's constantly taking videos to be able to analyze and then come back with a response. No, I don't see people. No, I don't see people. And then, yes, I see people. We want to make it more intelligent where it's full video, uh, so that it won't speak until it really finds someone. Right now, you can notice that it has a little bit of an AI into it. We want to make it more natural. And actually, we have something coming up soon. Like we announced this on our group on the Facebook page. is that ScribeMe will actually be coming, like it'll be rolling out on the Meta glasses for all blind users very soon. And you'll be able to use Live Assist hands-free. And like this would really be helpful for like many users, since you would be in a mall or walking in the neighborhood and you wouldn't have to be holding your phone. Your hands would be free, and you could hear the AI describing to you like the what it sees in front of you. If you're looking, for example, for a store in a mall, if you're in a busy area and like you're looking for a family member, it will also be able to recognize family members. So yeah, we have a lot of stuff coming up. Regarding your second question, uh, the subscription includes higher file limits, because in the free version you could only upload one file every 24 hours, and it will only scan the first 10 pages. If you want to have higher limits, you need to subscribe. We have ScribeMe Premium, which offers you 50 files per month, and there is no daily limit. You could upload the 50 files in one day if you'd like, and it can scan up to 400 pages. And it also includes the option like you could ask the AI any amount of questions. And there's also something hidden in the Snap and Scribe, which allows you to like upload the photos. With the subscription, you could upload multiple photos at once. For example, if you have WhatsApp and someone sends you like 5 images, you could just share all of them, and they'll all be described at once. So it saves you time.
That's great. So do you mean that the Live Assist is completely free for now?
Yeah, Live Assist is free, because we're still testing it with users. We're still taking feedback, and I'm also blind, so like my goal was never to get have profit out of this app. But we're just trying to break even. We don't want to lose money, because we don't want to close the app. But at the same time, Live Assist is very expensive, so we don't know how longer we'll have it free for, but we'll try to make it free for as long as possible.
Completely makes sense. That's great. Actually, my issue with the app is that Live
Okay.
Assist is not working. It's not completely the problem is that it's able to tell me what it sees, but it's not able to hear my voice at all. So as if it's not getting the microphone access it needed. Actually, I gave it all the permissions, but nothing actually. As if it's not really hearing anything from my side. So I don't know if it's a general issue. Actually, I didn't try to see if others are having the same issue, because I tested the app recently. But do you have any information if it's actually a general issue? If there's any problem with that, or if there's anything that I should check?
Could you tell me what screen reader are you using, or TTL?
I'm using the G-Show screen reader, and I tried it with the media volume, because we have this issue with Gemini, for example. If we use accessibility volume, it doesn't listen. Gemini is the only app that is having this issue, but I tried also with ScribeMe, but there is no difference.
Has anyone here tried the Live Assist? Was it working normally?
Well, for me, it worked for some reason. I mean, I tried Live Assist on my Samsung phone with G-Show. It was working for me.
Because someone had also complained the same issue, and when I was searching for it, I found that G-Show has an option where you could control your screen reader using your voice. So it always has the mic on in the background, and that's why it's the app doesn't have access, since G-Show always has mic on. So I think there was a setting in the G-Show called voice commands. I think if you turn it off, ScribeMe would work. It works for some users.
The voice commands, it's actually a voice assistant, and it doesn't use the microphone all the time, because if it was using the microphone, this would show the indicator of the microphone in use,
of course.
which is not the case here at all. Actually, it's just when you invoke the voice assistant, it starts using the microphone. Otherwise, it doesn't use it at all.
Could you try like for like one time change the screen reader and see if it will work?
Yeah,
Like
of course.
switch to the Google Assistant one, for example, and like see. Because I'm also still trying to figure out the issue. And I had some users that had the solution work for them when they turned this voice command thing off, and others they're still having the issue.
Well, there is no way to turn the voice commands. You can just not grant the microphone permission. Nothing more. There's no setting to not use the voice assistant.
I'm not sure because like the common issue between all these users is like they're using G-Show. If they're using another screen reader, everything is working fine. So like that's why I'm still trying to figure out what's different in the G-Show screen reader.
Anyway, if you want, we can go ahead with further testing after the interview.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, I've got a question then.
Okay.
Regarding subscriptions, are you considering country-based, currency-based pricing, or are you already doing that?
Yeah, we actually have regional based subscriptions, so prices would be different in each country. But like it's the same for like 90% of the countries. There's only a difference in very, very minor countries in the pricing.
Because I've seen, like, for example, here in Turkey, the prices were a little bit more for seeing the premium price.
Oh, yeah, like I don't have a lot of subscriptions in Turkey.
Yeah.
But I don't know if like the price is too expensive or not. Like that's why in some cases I need feedback from the users.
Exactly.
Like, is the price good? Is it like higher than usual? So yeah, your feedback would be nice. Like,
Yeah.
do you feel like the subscription is higher than most apps?
Yeah, it's kind of more than the most apps that I've seen. That's why I wanted to ask you.
Yeah, I'll look into it and like I'll see if I can decrease the prices a little bit.
I do want to mention something here in passing, and that has to do with Karen's concern as to why it wasn't listening to her. And I'm kind of leaning more on the fact that it could be owed to the fact that she's using that confused screen reader, G-Show, Joshua, commentary screen reader, whatever you want to call it. I have ScribeMe now running on my phone here on my Pixel, and I'm just going to demonstrate that live assistant here on live just for giggles. And I don't know if you guys can hear my screen reader.
Experience the world in real time.
So now I'm going to hit that
volumes. Go live.
go live.
End button.
What do you see in my camera view?
I see a desk with a lot of items on it, including a white desk lamp, a yellow mug, and several brown.
How about now? What do you see right now that I've moved the camera?
Now I see a laptop screen towards the bottom of the frame, a metal stand, and a window with blinds in the background. There's also a red box to the right of the stand.
Thank you. So I just wanted to mention that I think it's probably G-Show that's messing up. It's not behaving well with the app in question. That's my, that's my suspicion here, that's the problem.
Yeah, but there's still an issue, even if it's related to G-Show, because other apps work, ChatGPT work. I can get calls, and even with VoIP applications. So all apps work normally. I said that with Gemini, there is the issue of using accessibility volume, which is only related to Google Gemini. If you use the media volume for G-Show, it works well with no issues. So the thing is, we should just look at the issue to try to find the real cause, and I hope that
that's
Mark,
why
will be
like
able to, he will be able to find a solution.
Yeah, like we can test after the interview, and like hopefully we could find a solution.
Yeah, so I'm thinking there's something between the two apps that's not working, or they're not agreeing with each other. because if it works with other ones but not this, then there's definitely something between the two apps that's not jiving right.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the scanning capability, Mark, because one could also scan documents, right? So, for example, it's not just that I could only upload books or documents, but if I have a written document, for example, I could also use that to scan that written document on a piece of paper. And would that only be limited to a printed text, or would it also do a handwritten document?
You can also do handwritten documents. You have this tab called Snap and Scribe. You could take a photo of a paper or a physical document, handwritten, anything, and it will automatically extract all the text for you. So it can automatically detect the difference between like if this image needs the scanning, like text extraction, or it needs description.
Is that scanning capability also limited just as the uploading of books, or is that different?
No, it doesn't have limits.
Nice.
One final question. Actually, it's about the limit. If I exceed the limit, is there any way to buy more files, for example, or more quota, so before my subscription period ends?
No, it will put you in the free plan until your subscription in use, but we didn't have users finishing their subscription plans. And we're also working on another subscription plan, which will give you even higher file uploads. So the current one we have is 50 files per month. Very soon we'll add one that has 100 files per month for those who use the app more frequently.
I can see where Karen is coming from, and probably could be something that you could look into. So, in other words, for example, let's say I'm a free user and my free subscription or file limit has been reached. But if you have something in place, or if you want to pay X amount to get X amount of uploads, that may be another route to go. If you're subscribed and you've overrun your subscription, you could buy something on the fly. So I'm thinking what Karen is talking about is maybe like something on the fly, that if I just want something right now and I don't want to wait till my subscription time comes up or renewal comes up, I could just buy something on the fly. Karen, is that what you're talking about?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, like I get you. Yeah, we could work on that. So you mean like if you finish the 50 files, you need more files, so you could like buy 10 more files on the go without having to wait until your subscription renews, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
So I've overrun my subscription or my file limits, but then there's something urgent that I need. I can just be able to buy that for that moment in time to be able to have
yeah.
access, rather than wait till my renewal time comes up.
We can do that. Yeah,
That would be great.
yeah, great.
Well, thank you so much, Mark, for coming on. And next week, though, we have our celebration, and I want you to come on. So let's not be hiding again, because then I'll be a little bit upset with you. Just kidding. But next week, we have our celebration coming up, the 5th anniversary of Blind Android Users Podcast. And we like developers like yourself and others to come on. But we want to thank you so much for coming on and to talk about ScribeMe. And again, you guys, if you're hearing this for the first time, of course, that ScribeMe is what we've been talking about, something you could use in reading your books or scanning your documents and all of that, and using the live assistant, as I just demonstrated a little while ago. And we do want to thank you so much. How do people get hold of you, Mark, in the event that someone has some questions, they want to reach you? Should they just get through to the Play Store and click on that contact and find you that way? Or is there a website? Or how is your preferred method of wanting people to get hold of you should someone have some
So we have
additional
many ways. First, you could contact us through the website. You could find me on Facebook. My name is Morad. Also, we have a ScribeMe page on Facebook. If you write ScribeMe, you'll find the page. You have a contact us section in the app. So yeah, there are many ways to contact me or contact the team.
Thank you so much. And again, we appreciate you coming on here to talk with our listeners. And as always, if something major happens, we want you to come back. So, in other
Sure.
words, we're holding you to it, and you're going to promise us that you'll come back again whenever we reach out to you to come on. And it's not going to take another 5 weeks, right?
Yeah. True. It was only like I had exams and things like
Yeah,
that because
no,
I'm still in
I'm
college.
just giving you a bad time. Yeah.
Well, yeah, of course. I'll be happy to be here again.
Thank you so much. And we look forward to seeing you next week if you're able to make it. And it's, of course, going to be the same time. And we'll be putting that URL out there for folks to be able to join us next week. Thanks again,
sure.
Mark, for coming on. And we appreciate you.
Thanks.
It's nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you too.
Thank you so much for being with us. That was really nice.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you for being with us today. And you will be back when the problem with Joshua is fixed, just to tell Warren that it's now working very well with Joshua.
Yeah.
We'll fix it. We'll
So,
find a
yeah,
solution.
how about we? Yeah, so she's inviting you to come on once you figure out what's going on between these two, where the argument
okay.
is at, and you got it fixed. And you got to come back, even if it's just for a couple minutes to talk
Yeah,
about.
you're always welcome to join us anytime you want to.
Yeah, okay, I'm down. I'm down.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Welcome to the Spotlight segment. This is a segment dedicated to interviews with developers or interesting happenings in the world of Android. And now for this week's episode, here's your Spotlight. Let's now move on to our second segment of the Spotlight. As we just concluded that segment of the ScribeMe, let's now talk about TalkBack 16.2 that just dropped. And if you have a Pixel phone, for example, or any Android phone, for example, if your area has happens to be those areas that it kind of gets pushed out to early, then you may have gotten that. Or if you're just the impatient one, of course, then you may be looking for the APK, like say on APK Mirror, something that I don't subscribe to. I'm the one that always say, just wait till it hits you. But so we're glad to see that TalkBack 16.2 is out. John, let's talk about TalkBack 16.2. There are some changes, right, that we need to talk about that really matter to us as blind people, and also mention some certain regressions that happen with this release. Can you talk about some of these, John?
Sure. So the main big features, I guess, are, I would say there's 4 of them. There's the new enhanced key map for keyboard users with a browse mode. And then there's a new describe text formatting feature. And then there is the long-awaited double tap with 2 fingers to use voice input on Gboard, like iOS users have had forever. And then something else that iOS users have had for a while is split tap. So now you can, when you're using Explore by Touch, you can just tap with a second finger to activate the item rather than lifting your finger and double tapping.
Let's talk about let's talk about the first item that you mentioned, John, and how important is this to us, guys? Do you find that to be very important? Karen, what's your take on it? I know you're a Joshua screen reader, but in general, though, when we talk about this, we're talking about blind people in general. So we're looking out for the benefit of all. What are your thoughts about the first implementation that John mentioned?
About the first implementation? You mean the description of the text formatting?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me tell you first that if I'm like being a Jisho user doesn't mean that I don't care about TalkBack. This is actually not the case.
Yeah.
I do care about TalkBack, and I want it to be better and better. And I test all the new releases. And to be honest with you, yesterday I used TalkBack more than I used it maybe for the past months, actually, because I was testing a lot of stuff yesterday. So I was using TalkBack a lot yesterday. So regarding the text formatting, I think that they did a good job in implementing it. We don't have the feature so I know that you will be happy. We don't have this feature with Jisho. So you can say that this is one of the features that TalkBack has, but Jisho doesn't. Actually, it's I think the implementation is good. Well, you can. I'll leave this for John to just explain how the feature works. But you can use it you can set it to automatically describe the formatting for you whenever there are formatting in the text, the focus text, or you can let it work manually. So you can just focus a text and ask it to describe it from the main menu or by using a gesture. I think this is good. They didn't try to force us to use one way or another. I think that Google has started to realize that things should be optional. And I have noticed this, and this also is making the settings section bigger and bigger. So actually, it won't be like as huge as Jisho settings, but it's growing. So yeah, it's good that Google has started to realize that things should be optional and everything should be customizable, which is good.
So yeah, it is very customizable. I mean, like she mentioned, there's two ways of using it. There's having it announced automatically, and then there's manually triggering it either with a gesture from the TalkBack menu. And then for the automatic announcing, you can turn it on and off with the reading control. You can go into the settings and customize what is announced. So whether you want like bold, italic, font style, font size, color, whether you want the actual color said, whether you want the hexadecimal value for the color announced, you can customize all of that. You can customize whether you want it to announce it with just making a sound or announce it verbally. So I've actually decided on just what I have is it makes a sound so that I know there's some kind of formatting there, and it doesn't read it out automatically every time. And then if I hear that sound, I know that I can just manually bring up the TalkBack menu and ask it to describe the formatting to me if I want to know. So yeah, it's about as customizable as it could be.
I really find that useful. Say someone is a student, for example, you're reading some text and you want to find where the emphasis and things of that nature. It comes in very handy for students, and maybe you kind of trying to proofread your work and you want to find areas of emphasis. I think this comes in handy. Let's talk about that double tapping with two fingers to start and stop dictation, which needs a Gboard in order to work. John, this is a welcome feature for a lot of people who want this, because it's not often that easy for someone to find that voice input and tap on it, and then when you're done to either find it again and tap on it. I think this is a huge solution because it now eliminates the ability to do that, and most especially if you are not using a Pixel phone where you could just say stop, for example, to make it stop dictation. I see this as a huge win. And John, talk to us about this, because one could also assign that gesture, right? If you don't want to use the double tap, which may or may not conflict with maybe the starting and stopping of media playback.
Yeah, so a lot of iOS users have been asking for this for a long time, but a problem that you have, and you have it here too on iOS, is it doesn't always work perfectly. And I've even come across it with this already. In some situations or some apps or some edit fields, you'll double tap to start using voice dictation and it'll resume your media, which, depending on the situation you're in and the media you were previously playing, could lead to some embarrassment, right? So, so you do have the option, unlike in iOS, you do have the option to split them. So by default, it does both, but you can assign separate gestures. So you can assign a gesture to do voice input only, and then a gesture to control play and pause media only. So that if you're ever in a situation where TalkBack, for whatever reason, does not recognize that you're in an edit field and Gboard is on screen, when you do the gesture to start voice input, instead of it playing your media, it'll just say Gboard not on screen. Now, it might not be right, but at least you'll know it's not going to work in that situation, and the media will not just start playing.
Talking about this double tapping with two fingers to stop and start dictation, there's something I noticed, and it's probably maybe only on the Pixel phones, for example, that when I double tap to stop, then TalkBack would automatically read what I just voice dictated, and or something to that effect, which I find very, very helpful, because I now don't have to go find the edit field to hear what I just dictated. So is that, John, do you know if it's just happening on a Pixel phone or if it happens also on the Samsung phone? Because my Samsung device does not qualify for the 8.5 beta, One UI 8.5. So I'm not sure if this is something only specific to the Pixel, or most especially specific to the Gboard. If you have a Gboard on Samsung, for example, running One UI 8.5, if you will be experiencing the same.
So you need Gboard to use this feature at all, but yeah, it's not just a Pixel thing. It will announce what was currently dictated when you stop the dictation, and only what was currently dictated. So it's not going to read you the entire edit box. So if you already had text in the edit box and you just added something onto the end of it, as soon as you stop that dictation, it will read back just the portion of the text that you had just dictated. So I think it's really nice. You don't have to review your text so much.
And I want to add something to that, because yesterday I was playing with it. And so I have already dictated and stopped the voice dictation, but then I initiated the voice dictation again by double tapping, and I told it to remove a certain word, and it actually did. I almost fell off my chair, and I'm not sure if it would repeat that again or not.
Now that is a Pixel feature. That will not work on any other phone, because that's one of the feature sets where, like, you can say send, you can say stop, you can say clear all. There's different voice commands you can use during voice typing on a Pixel that you just aren't going to get anywhere else. So that is Pixel exclusive.
Okay, just that makes sense, because I was, wow, this is absolutely wonderful, because I just told it remove this word or replace this word with that, and it did. So yeah, that's a Pixel feature. Let's talk about the other one, John and Karen and Sally. Let's talk about the split tapping. I don't use that, but I know a lot of people want that. So is this a game changer for us on Android, as it is now that one is able to split tap?
In the minority here, but I love this feature. I love it. And not only has iOS had it forever, but even it's even been on Fire tablets. So like in Voice View on a Fire tablet, you could even do it there. But it's finally here. And I mean, it's just, for me, I'll tell you what I like most about it. It's not just that you can, well, it's quicker for one thing, but the thing I like the most about it is when you want to hit something multiple times. So say, for example, you're listening to an audiobook and there's a skip forward 30 seconds button, and you want to skip forward 5 minutes. You'll have to double press that button 10 times to get 5 minutes, right? So if with split tap, all you have to do is explore the screen until your finger is on that button, and then with its separate finger, just tap 10 times. So you can do it so much faster. You don't have to like double tap and wait for something to happen, double tap, wait for something to happen over and over. You can just hit it and it'll do the thing as many times as you tap the screen as fast as you want it to.
Exactly. This is making things easier. And this is also one of the things that people moving from iOS to Android were complaining. They were saying like, I want to click on something, but I can't. And they were not able to like tell us what's going on their mind. I mean, what they want to do and how they want to achieve it. I said, you can just double click on it. But they used to say in iOS, it's not like that. So now it's on Android. It's a good thing, in my opinion, though. I don't use it.
Let's be honest.
Yeah. I don't use it, but it doesn't mean that everybody should be like me. So.
Yeah, it's a good option, because if we're being honest, double tapping is not as reliable on Android as it is on iOS. Anybody coming over from iOS will tell you why when I double tap, nothing's happening sometimes. Like
I heard that many times.
So at least they now have this option. If they don't even want to bother with the double tap ever, they don't have to.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, but here is a question. Does it work reliably, or is it like the split tap to type, which is not working as it should? At least at least during my tests, it's always not working as it should.
So it does work as it should. I'll say this I'll try to explain the keyboard problem quickly, if possible. So the problem with Gboard is that it gives you, when you're exploring the keyboard, it gives you leniency. Let's just call it that. So when your finger leaves a key, it doesn't actually change TalkBack's focus to the next key, even though you're on the next key. It waits till your finger actually gets to the center of the next key before it changes the focus to that key. So what used to be the problem with split tapping, and that was actually corrected in this build, is that if you slightly left a key, TalkBack would not announce that you've switched to keys, and the focus would still be on the key your finger's no longer touching. But when you would tap the screen, it would input where your finger was rather than where the TalkBack focus was. So they have changed it so that it's always putting in where the TalkBack focus is. So it's still a little bit janky in that if you're in this situation, what will happen is it will input the right character, but the TalkBack focus will quickly shift to where your finger actually is, and you'll hear the key next to it. So although it will put in the correct characters, it might seem confusing if you are kind of like on that border between characters, because the TalkBack focus will change and you'll hear a different character other than what was put in the field. But
And
you
I
don't
think
have...
this probably, John, ties in with the focus delay, right? So I think this is probably in an attempt to kind of try to correct that a little bit to where the change is instantaneous or sort of reflected. But the generally speaking, as you guys were talking earlier, you and Sally, the solutions it brings to the tapping, I think it's a huge change. As for example, that example, John, that you gave about, say, you're reading a book and you want to skip X amount of times. I can see the usefulness of that, because once my
or if you're changing pages, if you're like in a tutorial or something and you want to go like through the pages much faster.
I never thought of that, and it totally makes sense to me. But like I said, the whole idea is to have another method of doing things other than just the one method. So if the more methods we have, I think it is a win-win situation for all of us, for especially those that kind of would rather prefer to do things a certain way or utilizing that method. And like you said, using the example you gave, It totally makes sense to me. Like Sally, it's not something that I may be using, but I am glad to see this here because now it adds to the number of things that we could use and be able to be more productive. You know, you hear that word all the time, productivity, and people talk about productivity all the time. And so if this makes one more productive, I'm all for it.
Yeah, and you don't have to use it all the time. You can just use it in the situations where it's better. Like the example I gave where I'm skipping through a media track. That's, you know, I've similarly with the split tap to type. I never actually used split tap to type, but what I did use it on is when I want to delete characters. Like if I knew I wanted to delete 5 characters really fast, I would just put one finger on the delete key and tap 5 times with the other finger, you know, rather than having to double tap 5 times. So it's similarly like you don't have to use it for everything, but there are situations where it might make things a little bit easier.
Now let's talk about the last one. Which one was it? I think I forgot. We've talked
The
about
keyboard. I think Corrine wants to talk about this. She absolutely loves this new keyboard feature. Corrine, tell us all about this.
Best implementation ever. Well, let me start with the fact that I'm really disappointed. I was hoping for something really big. Google, as usual, broke my hopes and broke my heart. So, well, actually, the feature itself is good. It's really great. Usual also doesn't have this feature, the single letter navigation. Like when you are in Chrome, for example, or I think it should work with other Chromium-based browsers. I'm not sure about other browsers like Firefox. I haven't tried it, to be honest, with Firefox. However, the feature allows you to just use a key to move between like a certain web controls like H for headings, K for links, V for visited links. Well, all Windows users are familiar, I think, with this because it's available in JAWS, it's available in NVDA. Even in NVDA, they call it browse mode. It's the same as it is called in TalkBack. So I think Mac also, they have it. I don't know about Mac, but I think that it's also available on Mac. So the feature itself is great. There's nothing to say about it here. But the implementation of the way to move between on-screen elements, or for example, if you are in a web page and you want to move between the items of the web page, like you are reading an article, like the implementation with TalkBack is you have to use the action key, which is the Windows key, or John, is it the search key? Is it called search key with Chromebooks?
Yeah, Chrome OS uses a search key, and then Mac uses a command key. Yeah, so depending on what type of keyboard you have connected, that's why they're just calling it the action key, because it's different on every keyboard.
Exactly, but the problem is that you can't change the action key. So, for example, if for any reason you don't have any of the keys, you are not able to change the action key. This is the first thing. And the second thing, for example, usually the Windows key is not really close to the arrow keys. So if you want to move, for example, between the elements on the web page, like you are reading an article, so you have to use the action key with the arrow keys to move. I think with a right arrow and with the left arrow to move, or up and down, I don't remember. But anyway, you have to press the action key. This makes moving between the elements one-handed impossible with many keyboards. So this is the first issue.
Yeah, it's not like what you're used to, like, for example, in NVDA, even narrator, you can just press up and down if you're in what narrator calls scan mode, or what NVDA calls browse mode. You can just go through items that way. For whatever reason, they've decided here that the up and down arrows should go by line when it's in browse mode, and the left and right arrows should go by character when it's in browse mode. So that's how it is. That's how they've decided it's going to be. Sorry, continue, Green. What was the other issue?
Well, actually, the other issue is that if you don't have, as I mentioned, the Windows key for any reason, Okay, it's not working. So you can't use the arrow keys to move between the on-screen elements, and you can't deal, or you can't use any shortcut or most of the shortcuts, because most shortcuts will use the action key. And if you try to change the keyboard shortcuts in the enhanced key map, you won't be able to do so, because action key should be used whenever you want to input the shortcut. So it will tell you that, for example, if I try to use the arrow key, like if I want to press it without using the action key, it will tell me that this is not possible, because I should use the action key with it to be able to use it as a keyboard shortcut. So this makes using browse mode literally impossible if I'm using a keyboard that doesn't have the action key. And if you switch to default key map, which uses Alt key as the modifier key, I'm not sure if you can change it with the default from key map, but if you change to default key map, you won't be able to use the browse mode. So you'll lose the single letter navigation, which is, I think, one of the best features added to the new TalkBack. I hope that they just improve things, and they decide to make like navigating the web page similar to how it is with Windows screen readers, so we can use the keyboard one-handed. And they should also implement the ability to change the modifier key, so we can use other keys as well.
Yeah, I mean, they do let you change the modifier key. I think you pointed this out in the standard or default, I think they call it the default key map, but not in this one for whatever reason. I mean, you can't, in the default key map, you can't make it anything, but you can at least, you do have a few options, so it would be nice if they gave you those options. I think, not defending them, well, maybe I am defending them. I think the reason they made it, because they don't want to, they're trying not to interfere. It seems like they're trying not to interfere with like the default system navigation shortcuts and stuff. So again, it should be an option, and if it does interfere, it interferes, but at least let us try something different. So, but yeah, the thing I wanted to point out is, and hopefully they can fix this in the future as well. Something that bothers me is, well, they have a feature that lets you, I think it's on by default. I could be wrong, but it's called Smart Browse Mode. And basically, when you land on an edit field or leave an edit field, it will put you in and out of browse mode automatically, so you can start typing. But if you have this enabled, it is always on, even if you don't have a keyboard physically connected. So like if I'm just using TalkBack normally and I have this feature turned on, anytime I'm going in or out of an edit box, I hear the announcement, browse mode on, browse mode off, which I don't think affects the functionality of TalkBack without a keyboard, but it's annoying, if nothing else.
Since you mentioned this, I want to talk also about the smart browse mode. Do they call it smart browse mode, right?
Yeah, but is it?
It's not, just for one reason. Because actually, I'll give you one example. So if I'm moving between edit boxes to reach a certain edit box, so I reached the first edit box on the page. What will happen now is that the text box will be in focus. So browse mode will be turned off. So if I try to press E again, it will just start typing, which will break browse mode, or suspend it actually, which will suspend it. So this will make using browse mode in such situation slightly tedious, because I have to press the arrow key, or actually action with arrow key, to move away from the edit box, and then I have to press the E again, and then I should press again the action plus the arrow key to move away from the edit box. Because I tried using escape, for example, it didn't work. So I tried to use escape to exit the edit box, like we do sometimes with Windows screen readers. It didn't work. So this affects the workflow, and this affects the navigation. Like, for example, in Windows, or on Windows, you can just press enter or space, and this will signal that you want to start editing. So it will suspend browse mode. And then when you leave the edit box, it will resume it. But with TalkBack, this is not possible. And I hope that also they will implement this in the future versions.
Yeah, I agree. It almost makes having smart browse mode turned off easier, because you'd rather just manually turn it on and off as you need it, rather than having it every time you land in an edit box, turn itself off because you're still using it. And hopefully they will correct this in the future. I remember a similar issue when they first added actions, is when you were on a web page and you were going through a web page by controls. If it landed on a control that had actions, it would automatically switch your reading control to actions, and you couldn't just go through all the controls on the page. So they did resolve that eventually, and this seems like a very similar issue where they just need to say, if you're going by, edit boxes, don't do it. Don't turn it on for every edit box,
So I think that what we have, though, at least for the time being, is that one could use those single letter navigation and be able to move, which is something we've been wanting for quite a spell. So going back to what Karen was talking, maybe one-handed use, for example. So if it's a possibility to have, maybe say I want to reassign, say, my control key, for example, to use in combination with the up or down arrow keys or left and right arrow keys, that would be great. So like we said, it's a work in progress. At least we've gotten started somewhere, and we're not where we were yesterday. So hopefully some of these suggestions, after they look into it, and like you said, John, if there's no confliction between this and some other ones, maybe it could be something that they could implement. And as always, it's a customizable thing. One could choose to use that or not to use that. And that's the beauty of it all. And hopefully this gets looked into.
Yeah, because by default, you're still using the default key map, so you don't have to deal with any of this unless you want to. So everything they added is new that wasn't there before. So it is progress, but it can also get better.
Let's talk about some of the regressions. Any regressions here that we see? I know that it's been a little bit of a talk on, I think, either on our Telegram group or maybe it's on our email group that I don't remember. And John, it has to do with the most especially the image thing, for example. And I'm looking at those of you using the 3-button navigational stuff, for example, where your back, home, and recent keys, preceded by image or something to that effect. And I know it could be a little bit nerve-wracking for some. John, talk about this.
Yeah, so I'm not sure what exactly is going on here, whether it is a bug or they just decided to change how things work, but some buttons are not being announced as buttons, they're being announced as images. As you said, the navigation buttons are a perfect example. Instead of saying back button, it'll say back image, which makes you, as the user, think it's not something clickable, right? So, yeah, if it's not a bug, it needs to be fixed. Well, it needs to be fixed either way, because I don't think we care whether a button is an image or not. I mean, buttons are images, we know this, but it's not something that matters to us. What matters to us is whether the item we can interact with it or not. And I think this is just confusing more than anything else. And I can't even place what causes it to happen. Some buttons just say button, some buttons say image. I mean, yeah. I guess once you get used to it, that image means button, and you can click it, but if you don't know that, you're going to be very confused.
Yeah, and as you indicated, I think the confusion comes when certain buttons really say buttons, and then these other ones will say image in addition to button. So it's kind of confusing. Either all of it will say image button, or all of it has to say
and even
button.
The same button in different places will be announced differently. Like in the Gmail app, the Gemini button on the home, the homepage of Gmail is called button, but then when you're in an email, reading it, and there's the Gemini button. It's called image.
Yeah. So see, that's what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
let's have it. And like you said, though, these things really are images of some sort. But since we're customizing it to make sense to a blind person, for example, let's be consistent. And like we said earlier, it wasn't like this until this release. And so there's something there. Maybe somebody forgot something or someone touched something that shouldn't have been touched. For example, I always say, why touch stuff that is already working? If you're adding new things, stuff that's already working, let that be. You know, I think this is why we have regressions, is because developers, programmers kind of touch something that shouldn't have been touched in the first place. So yeah, this can be confusing to us as blind people. So Google, if you're hearing us, either they all have to say image or they all have to say a button, but let's not confuse people with one saying image and then in another breath it says button. It doesn't make sense. But our pleading is we want the button because the button makes more sense to us, doesn't it, guys?
Well,
Yep.
Technically speaking, it's a button. Even if it has this shape that you see, it's a button. So if you ask or if you set in the settings of TalkBack, control types, I don't know what it is called in TalkBack. Actually, the one that is for stating the control type or the type of the element that you are in. Speak element type. This means that it should tell you the actual element type, which is a button. So the more options technically, for example, in WhatsApp, which is now considered as image with TalkBack, it's even if it has the 3 dots shape, it's a button. So if you look at the type, it's a button. So for that reason, it's not what we prefer, what makes sense more. It's actually what is right, what's wrong. And actually to be right, to describe it right, it's a button.
So button it is. And for one thing, buttons really look cute. So let's keep it cute. Buttons, that's what we want to hear. Right, John? Sally?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I also wanted to point out a couple of fixes since we're talking about regressions here. They have improved a couple of things. I mentioned it earlier, but although it's still sometimes announces or seems to announce the wrong character when you're using split tap typing. What's happening is it is actually putting in the right character this time. And same thing with long press. This also used to happen with long presses. If you've ever long pressed the delete key and then it just puts in an L instead of deleting stuff, is because your fingers moved a little bit, but it hasn't announced the change. And then you end up long pressing the wrong key. That's also been fixed so that, it's long pressing the correct key and it's putting the correct character in when you're using split tap typing, which I know very few people even use. Yep. The other fix I noticed is that the pause and resume reading is now fixed, whereas before when you would, so it's to tap with, by default is to tap with 2 fingers. This would pause or resume speech. And the way it was supposed to work is that it would either pause or resume speech. But what was happening is if you had previously paused something and you went to pause something else, it would resume what was previously being read. Now it will always pause speech if TalkBack is currently talking, and it will only resume it if you have previously paused it and TalkBack is not currently talking. So that's an improvement. I should point out that this feature still only fully works with Google TTS. If you're using a third-party TTS engine, it will not resume from the current point you paused it. It will start the entire utterance from the beginning.
I forgot to talk about one groundbreaking feature, which is what do they call it? Fast input? What? Keyboard?
Announce keyboard keys faster, I think is what it's called.
Yeah, that's one. Which works only, thanks God, with Google TTS. Actually, it does nothing. to be very honest. At least I think that you have the same opinion, John. During my tests, it didn't do anything except messing some things up. Like, for example, sometimes it decides not to speak or to announce the typed word, even though the announced typed words is on. So, but it doesn't happen all the time. Anyway, no improvement, at least during my testing. So it's better to keep it off. Anyway, it's off by default. But I really don't get what does it do in the first place.
Yeah, I don't understand it either. I didn't notice a difference. But like you said, it's off. So we recommend don't go messing with it. It's in the same page under advanced settings with the delay settings, I think. So focus delay settings are on that page. And this is also there. Doesn't seem to do much of anything. And it's off by default, thankfully.
Yeah, some of these things are things that need to be improved on. And, when we report these issues, then they get fixed. Maybe there'll be a little bit of a workaround, or they'll kind of deliberate on it and find a better solution to it. So I'm glad we're noticing these things and mentioning these things. And these are things we could report so that they get fixed, because the better they get, the better it is for us. So at least it's there, and since it's not working or not working as intended, then we need to let them know XYZ is not working as intended. Coming up is our Tip of the Week segment. This is a segment where we show you a trick or two on how to use a certain feature on your phone or in a given app. If you have a tip that you would like to share with our listeners, feel free to send us such a tip to contact us at blindandroidusers.com. And now for this week's episode, here's your Tip of the Week. We now close today's episode with our Tip of the Week, and here's that notification organizer. We continue now with our Tip of the Week series, and for this week's episode, this is demonstrating the notification organizer. Last month, Google indicated that they were bringing notification organizer in December, and sure enough, we now have notification organizer. I am in the system settings. This is where we find it by going to notifications. I'll now tap on notifications.
Notifications. Notification history. Conversations 8 of 29.
And I'll tap here.
Notifications. Navigate up. Button. Out of list. Showing items 1 to 13 of 21.
We are now in the notifications area, and what we're looking for is the notification organizer. I'll now put my finger down and tap on notification organizer.
Notification organizer. Bundle and silence lower priority notifications 5 of 21.
And I'll tap here.
Notification organizer. Navigate up. Button. Out of list.
Let's hear the description of this utility by putting my finger near the top of the screen.
Choose notification types you want to silence and bundle together to minimize interruptions. The organizer uses AI on your device, which may sometimes make mistakes. Your notifications are never sent to Google, 1 of 14. In list, 14 items.
Below here, though, we have the animation, and in the middle of the phone, we got by default that utility is turned on.
Use notification organizer. On. Switch 4 of 14.
And below here, basically what we have is that all of your notifications or apps that send out notifications have been added automatically. You can, however, go in here to change the ones that you don't want to participate. Here's what I'm talking about.
Promotions, sales, new features, and more checked. Checkbox 6 of 14.
And moving on down.
News, top stories, editorials, and more checked. Checkbox 7 of 14. Social, likes, posts, and more, not checked. Checkbox 8 of 14.
So if
Showing
you want
items
to
1
add
to 8 of
that
14.
to the list, you could check that.
Suggested, newsletters, recommended media, and more, not checked. Checkbox 9 of 14. Showing items
Next,
2. Always expand bundles, off. Switch 12 of 14.
we come across always expand bundles. For example, if you want them expanded, you could turn this on, but by default, this is turned off. Next.
Don't include these apps. Heading 13 of 14.
Now we come across the one I was talking about earlier. If you don't want some of these apps to be included, which are by default included. So you go to
Manage apps. All apps are currently using Notification Organizer 14 of 14.
and you tap here.
Manage apps for Notification Organizer. Navigate up, button, out of list.
And in here, you'll see all your apps that are participating. In other words, all of your apps that have the tendency to send notifications will be included here. Now, if there's an app, for example, that you do not want it to be participating in the notification organizer, then you turn them off because they're checked by default.
On. Messages 83 minutes ago. Switch. In list. On. My Synchrony 101 minutes ago. Switch. On. Photos 117. On. Google Play Protect service 3 hours ago. On. Google Play Store 3 hours. On.
You got the drift. And so if you don't want any of these to be part of this notification organizer, then you tap to uncheck that. And that would be it for this notification organizer as a tip of the week. And I hope that this is not just for Pixel phones, but so far this is what I'm seeing on my Pixel phone, and I hope that it comes to every other Android phone. Thanks for listening. And as always, if you like what we're doing, do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks for listening. All good things must end. Thus, it's curtain drawing time, bringing us to the close of this week's episode. Coming up, though, we give you information on how to get hold of us. And with that, we come to the end of this week's episode. As always, John standing by to give you information. Here's John now to give you information on how you can get hold of us.
To contact us, simply send an email to contactus@blindandroidusers.com. If you'd prefer, you can leave a voicemail by calling +1 307 202 9797. You can join our mailing list by sending a blank email to blindandroidusers+subscribe@groups.io. You can join our Facebook and Telegram groups or subscribe to our YouTube channel using the links in the podcast show notes or YouTube video description. And you can find all of this information and more at our website, blindandroidusers.com.
Thank you so much, John. And with that, we come to the end of this week's episode. We do want to thank you guys for always listening to us. And I do want to say thank you again from my end. And I want to say goodbye. Looking forward to seeing you guys next week when we'll be participating together. For now, though, keep those home fires burning.
Have a great week.
Thanks for listening. Goodbye.
Thanks for listening. Have a great week.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Blind Android Users Podcast. Until we see you next week, don't forget to leave us your comments and suggestions via our email contact or using any of our social media sites. Have a great week.